What is good, guys? Welcome back on the channel. Inter 3, Slavia Praha 0 match reaction. Lautaro Martinez with the double. He's becoming Mr. Champions League. For a few seasons we were moaning at this guy that he wasn't getting enough goals in the Champions League, and you might call it stat padding against this type of opposition. But goals are goals. One of them was a tap in. One of them was an actual gift from their goalkeeper. But who cares? The important is that he played generally quite well, deserved his goals because he worked so hard that he deserved those goals. And then Denzel Dumfries capped things off. And before we get into everything, I know there's a lot of positives to discuss, but also some negatives, some decisions by Chivu in terms of rotation in the second half that definitely I can see you guys are disagreeing with. And I definitely am just racking my brain over some of those decisions of keeping some guys on and not resting some guys off the bench. But as I said, before we get into all of that, you guys know what to do. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me see who is in the house. Paki in the house. Salem, Ahmad, definitely Soma Hakan if she shares too soon. Yes, now that is true. Hakan, I think we can say, did I say one more game? Did I say after the Cagliari game? Did I say one more game that I need, or one or two more games that I need from Hakan to say that he is officially back? I think I'm going to give it one more game. Cremonese Hakan. One more game like this against Cremonese Hakan or near this level, and I am back on the Hakan train. I can say that he is back. I can say that we were chatting absolute shit this summer. He proved us wrong. And that he is back to his levels. But we have to talk about how Chivu needs to protect him as well. Another 90 minutes for Hakan today. Chivu needs to find a way to protect Hakan, because we also know, we saw last season, he can't play every single game, and he shouldn't be playing every single level, especially when we're going to play this aggressive, which is what I enjoyed about Inter's performance today, guys, right? Chivu wanted an aggressive Inter team, right? And that is exactly what he was given today. If we look at the, if we deep dive into some of the stats, if you go down here into the duels, I posted on Twitter, I posted one at halftime where it was Inter won every single aerial duel. I think it was 14 or 13 at halftime, and Inter won 100% of them. Ground duels, Inter had more at halftime. Now, at full time, it's gone half and half. But in total, duels 149. Inter completely packed Slavia Prague in. They didn't let them breathe. They were on them. They were physically just trying to, completely dominate them on the ball as well. I think in terms of what Chivu said at the beginning of the season, before the start of the season, that he wants to see a aggressive, high press, vertical Inter team. I think this is one of the games where I can say confidently that we've seen, I think, what Chivu was talking about. Of course, the opposition level, we can say, isn't at the highest level, especially for this Champions League competition. They're not going to be one of the teams challenging to go into the knockout stages. Maybe they prove me wrong, but I don't think so. But the level that we saw today from Inter in terms of aggressiveness, pressing, was very, very impressive. And yeah, we are starting to see it's still very much like the Conte days, the Inzaghi days, but there's little tiny nuances that you're starting to see differences in Chivu ball. And today was very enjoyable overall to watch. And yes, let the Romanian cook. He is cooking something. Slightly same exact ingredients, pretty much, just a few more spices off the bench. I guess you could say useful spices off the bench. The ingredients, the meats and the vegetables, they're all pretty much the same, but he's cooking it maybe a little faster. He's doing those what do they call it, those techniques the chefs use, the flambe, or like when they use the fire, quick flame, whereas Inzaghi was a slow simmer. Conte was, I don't know, pressure cooker. Chivu was a bit more, direct, quick with it. Definitely not microwave, though. He's still cooking some good food at the moment. Lautaro, first player in Inter history to score in 7 Champions League seasons in a row. Thank you, Mattia. I did not know this stat. And fantastic stat to show Lautaro's consistency and the time that now he has been at Inter. And always when we come to these Champions League stats, it always kind of highlights how like Inter kind of lacking some like real, deep Champions League history in terms of not like the team. Of course, we won it 3 times, but in terms of just like individually, like players just haven't stayed at Inter long enough, or they Inter themselves maybe didn't stay in Champions League long enough when those players were there to let them stat pad some numbers and build some consistency. But it shows Lautaro's consistency. And today, true captain's performance, not the most visually, aesthetically pleasing performance from Lautaro, but it was a proper, like if we're talking about aggressiveness, if we're talking about pressing, if we're talking about tackling, putting the dog into the performance, that was Lautaro today. As I said, he deserves his 2 goals today. Feel bad for Juve, Sita says. I guess, but this is Inter. We know he's at the bottom of the midfield rankings. If Juve came on today, that would have actually said something more about Frattesi's position in this team than Juve's. Nobody worrying for Frattesi if Juve came on before Frattesi today. But I've said to you guys in the last, I can't remember which stream I said it. He is basically Juve. At the moment, he is this season's class, and at the moment, he is the last ranked midfielder, and he's got a lot of work to do. Maybe he's going to get to start or play in a Coppa Italia game, or like one of those last Champions League games where the result is already secured or something like that. At the moment, there's nothing. I don't really feel bad for Juve in a way. I know what you mean, but it is what it is when you come into an Inter team that has so many midfielders, so many options in midfield. I guess you could feel sorry for him, but that's just the level that we're at the moment. Controlled and composed match, good win. Matteo says, would like to see, yeah, definitely we could have taken our chances a little bit more, but that's Inter, right? Like, how many years have we been watching this Inter, and it's always the same story. When we play well, we still don't score as much as we should be. The only thing was missing was a Sućić goal, 100%. Sućić deserved a nice little goal. Not his best performance, Sućić today, a bit up and down, but in terms of that goal that he could have and maybe should have got, he deserved that. Yeah, and Boni, we saw him with a little Zidane roulette near the end. That was very nice to see. And let me start some of the comments in terms of the what's it called? Some of the negatives to talk about with Chivu, so I'll bring them up in later. Let me start some of those comments. Let me get to Eduardo, who is, of course, big supporter of the channel, member for 45 months, talking about Lautaro's consistency, 7th season. Here, Eduardo has been here 45 months. Positivity FC here. Let's go. Lovely to see. And yes, thank you, Mattia, for reminding everyone. So hit that like button. Let me see some more comments. It's official. Chivu is making you 2025k dog. Acerbi still the goal. Oh yes, I mean in terms of positives, guys. Of course, the general performance. But if we're talking about standout performance today, obviously Lautaro, Thuram, really good. 2 out of the 3 goals were basically from Thuram. Without him, those 2 goals don't happen. Hakan, as I said, very impressive performance, and Acerbi, very good, very good. As soon as we start to say, is it the season where Stefan de Vrij might take over? Is it the season that Stefan de Vrij can be the starter over Acerbi? Yeah, and he always does this. He always does this. Even when he was injured last season, we thought he's been out for 2 months. De Vrij's been fine. He's been fine with De Vrij in there. But when he comes back into the team, it's almost like he always has a point to prove, and he always proves it that this is why I've been the starter every year. This is why I always start over De Vrij. And today he was very good. But I still feel like De Vrij deserves the continuity and the consistency into the team, to be honest. the way that he's been playing. But Acerbi, one of the goals, was it the 3-0 goal that was basically, the 2-0 goal that was basically started all by Acerbi winning the ball high up, then running up with it, passing it to Thuram. That was all from Acerbi. Bastoni, we don't need to talk about it. This guy is just absolute class personified at all times. Dimarco with another back-to-back in the full 90 minutes, and he was sprinting up and down right at the end as well. So definitely he's looking in the best shape that he has since at this point last season, when he was putting up very good performances as well. So let's see if this season maybe he can keep it up for longer period. But he's looking very good. Zilinski, he was, as usual, not much wrong to say about him. Look, he only made one wrong pass or one inaccurate pass. But did he move anything? Did he, speaking of, how Acerbi and De Vrij are competing for the spot, did he really convince Chivu that he should be starting over Miki or Sućić in that left centre mid position? Not really. Nothing wrong, but nothing needle moving. But yeah, overall, everyone was decent. I think Bisek as well, very silly yellow card that he got himself. But apart from that, there was not really much for the defenders to do really today. I think Acerbi was the only one challenged because, and especially in the second half, they threw on the big striker Chori. I think he's like 6'6" or 6'7" or something, and he had something to deal with. But apart from that, Bastoni and Bisek didn't really have too much to do in terms of box defending or deep defending, more just high defending. Let me continue with some of your comments. I'm not going to be on for too long, to be honest. Alexander says he really loves Sućić today. I particularly thought it was, highlights and shadows from Sućić today. He got very, very involved. Let me look at some of his stats. So he had he had the least touches of any outfield player. Okay, that was weird. Completed the most dribbles. That was surprising, actually. There's the least touches of any outfield player that played the full 90 minutes. But yeah, he tried a bit more riskier passes compared to Zilinski, which is completely fine. Created 2 chances. 1 shot, which obviously is the one that maybe he should have scored. He tried 4 dribbles, completed 2. 4 recoveries, 2 out of 5 ground duels, 1. Yeah, decent performance. Definitely not to the level of his Torino performance. But yeah, this is let me show if someone missed it, this is the missed chance or the amazing save. You have to also give the credit to the Slavia Praha defender who put his body on the line, because he looked like he smashed into the post when he was sliding in to stop the Sućić shot. If you only just lifted, obviously it's easy for me to say here from my chair, but if you just lifted it, that would have been guaranteed goal. But amazing defending from the guy. But it would have been great for Sućić to get his first goal for Inter in the Champions League as well. Would have been nice. But it wasn't to be. Oh yeah, this is the screenshot I was talking about earlier. Half-time, aggressive Inter. I can say so. I think we can say so. 28 duels won compared to 14. 13 aerial duels, 100% of those won, and completed more dribbles as well, which is fantastic to see. And yeah, the half-time, the domination was just clear to see. 1.95 xG, plenty of shots in and around the box in dangerous areas. Their only shot was a blocked shot, so no danger as well. So complete and utter domination in the first half from Inter. Really, really just squeezed everything out of that Slavia Praha team. And yeah, I have to give credit to Slavia Praha though. At the beginning, the first, until Lautaro scored, which was the 30th minute, I felt like they looked super organized. They were also very aggressive. They were pressing really well in terms of they were sitting deep, but not really letting Inter do much with it. They didn't let Inter have any space. There wasn't many big chances to speak of before Lautaro scored. And then the gift from their keeper, who was called, what's his name, Stanek, who actually looked pretty good on the ball. He looked very confident on the ball even after this, but complete brain fart moment, complete bozo moment. Don't know what happened to him there. Decides to just pass the ball straight to, or in the path of Lautaro. who accepts his gift, of course, and taps it in to make it 1-0. As I said before that, there was not really any clear-cut chances. Lautaro had this header from a corner. Then Thuram had one shot from the edge of the box. I think Lautaro also had some other half chances. But before that, Slavia Praha actually were looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. Let's have a look. What else have I got in terms of screenshots? Oh yeah, let me show you the 2-0 goal. This was, as I said, started by Acerbi. Won the ball high up very well. Then ran up with it like he is, I don't know, Calafiori, Bastoni or something. Gave it to Thuram. Thuram dribbles past the player, step over, boom, left footed cross into Dumfries. Great movement and great finish to make it 2-0. And then here's 3-0 again, massively involved with the Thuram. Back heels it into Bastoni's path. Bastoni hits it first time into Lautaro's path. Another tap in for Lauti. Two of the easiest goals that Lautaro will ever score today. Great team move, this one. But then now let me get into the comments that are all talking about the usage or the decisions made by Chivu today, because Marcus Thuram, after literally, so he does this back heel. So he actually, to get to this ball, Marcus Thuram sprints quite hard, stands the guy up and then does a back heel. So I don't know if it was within that sprint or within that back heel that he pulled something. But this is what Thuram was like straight after Lautaro scores that goal, which looks like a hamstring thing. So I was listening to Sky Calcio, so the Italian stream, and their pitch side reporter said that Thuram, so he was going off lip reading, so we don't know how accurate that guy was. But according to him, Thuram said that it was a cramp. He felt like a cramp. The medical team was asking him, did you pull something? Did you feel like you tore something? And he said, no, it felt like a cramp. But at the end of the game, when the camera went on to Thuram at the end of the game, when the players walk onto the pitch to like shake each other's hand, Thuram still looked like he wasn't walking very well. He looked like he was limping almost. So that is concerning. And that was at the 65th minute. So that raises the question now. We've talked about all the positives about Interplayed, the selections by Chivu as well, which I was happy with. I think the overall selection, I was happy with the rotation of Zilinski coming in, Sućić coming in, Bisek coming in. But in the second half, did Thuram and Lautaro were subbed off at the same time after that injury. Did Thuram really need to stay on till the 65th minute? So that's one question to raise straight away to Chivu in terms of his usage and energy management. Then, of course, Hakan. If Hakan is going to be used like this without any rest, and still like it looks like no decision has been made on who the vice Hakan is. So Chivu, I feel like in some aspects he might be committing the same risks, same mistakes that his predecessor made, Inzaghi, which was, okay, with Inzaghi we kind of knew that Christian Aslani was the vice Hakan. Then Aslani himself didn't really convince too much as the vice Hakan, so Zilinski started also stepping into that role. But it didn't seem like there was ever really a clear decision made between Zilinski and Aslani. And then obviously the level between the Hakan and, well, last season's Hakan, it was a different story, of course. The Scudetto winning Hakan and the drop-off there was massive. Last season, even when Hakan was playing, there was no particular raise of level either. But in general, I feel like this could be something that we talk about now, and then later on in the season we'll be like to Chivu, bro, we told you can't play Hakan like this, you can't use him like a bar of soap like this. So you can't be using Hakan like this. We saw his injury issues as well last season. Hakan, he was getting these niggling muscular injuries, recurring muscular injuries. He looked fantastic today. Maybe this is the sharpest all season Hakan has looked. So all these games that he's been playing, like we've been saying, top players, if you want to get them back in form, most of the time it's not by benching them. I know as fans, we want to punish them, bench them. But most of the time, my 20 plus years watching football, coaches, they always just keep playing them until they get their match sharpness back, their form back. And that's what is happening to Hakan. But at the same time, Chivu, please manage the energies of Hakan. But yeah, Hakan, it's the little things with Hakan. You watch him go for some 50-50s. You watch him go for some aerial duels. You watch him go in for a slide tackle. If he's not winning it, he's somehow getting like a little rebound off the ball that goes to an interplayer afterwards, or he's taking the player down with a foul, but he's just making sure that move, whatever move that is, it ends right there with a defensive move, with a recovery, with something. This Hakan is coming back to those Scudetto, Seconda Stella levels that we saw from Hakan, which was the best CDM regista in Serie A and one of the top 5 in Europe. So, as I said, I'm about to say Inzaghi there, Chivu, please manage Hakan's energies accordingly. We need him throughout the season. Klassen came, yeah, I mean, by Klassen, I mean Black Blue Legacy. I mean, just in terms of his ranking, the pecking order in this team, in this midfield, of course, not in terms of money spent at the moment. Yeah, that 25 million on Diouf looks like an absolute waste of money. Yeah, but again, like this is like a thing of fans just wanting to see him, like, you know, what is it to Chivu about what if fans want to see a player? Like I know, like sometimes we want to see some minutes for a Primavera player just for the, you know, just because we want to see him. We have so many midfielders. The energy management today, I feel like, yeah, if you were gonna bring Barella on, I would have brought him on for Hakan in the CDM role, or I would have moved Zilinski there, and there, yeah, you could say you should have brought on Frattesi or Diouf. Sućić for the full 90, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I would have wanted to see Zilinski get a full 90 as well. That's where I have my issues. That's where definitely, yeah, one of Frattesi and Diouf could have come on. Darmian as well, I think, you know, a few people have mentioned how Darmian is still playing in the year of the Lord 2025 at wing back. Yeah, here as well. I don't mind it, this one as much. I would have brought Darmian out actually as the right centre back. Why was Akanji brought on? That's another one of my issues. So Barella coming on and Akanji. Why? I wish I could ask that to Chivu. I wish I could be sat in the press conference room to ask these types of questions, because I feel like coaches have never asked this. Like we always talk about the advantages of like Napoli had last season. Milan will have this season playing one game a week. In some games like these Champions League games, you can actually kind of have that for some of our big players. You can have them completely rested. So why not do it? Why, like Barella today was finally, you know, a good reason to just completely rest him for the full 90. Akanji has been playing non-stop for Inter and Switzerland recently. So I don't get those decisions. Darmian, yeah, maybe I would have liked to see Luis Enrique instead to give him continuity into the team, but yeah, whatever, that's fine. You know, Chivu mentioned that he wants to keep everyone happy in the team, give everyone minutes. So I guess Darmian is in that sense, but I guess you guys could say that's the same for Diouf. Yeah. Those were my issues today with the management of the squad. Hey Samer, hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you are doing well, Habibi. Smiley says he's disappointed in Zilinski. Yeah. Again, this Zilinski is the same as last season. There's no game that I can say to Zilinski that he gives a 5 out of 10 or anything like that. But is it ever anything above a 6.5? That's the thing with Zilinski. It's never something that really changes anything in your mind, or the coach's mind. Clearly never changed anything in Inzaghi's mind. And I doubt what he saw today changes anything in Chivu's mind. But yeah, Akanji, as soon as he came on, he showed levels. I think last season we saw at some points we were discussing, especially first start of the season, between Bisek and Pavard, because Pavard had a drop off last year. It was like this, you didn't know who was the starter. Like, we know in big games it was going to be Pavard. In a final, it was going to be Pavard. But in terms of actual performance and form level and what they showed, Bisek was coming up to challenge Pavard and even maybe becoming a starter of a Pavard, which I think sometimes he actually did under Inzaghi. But now at the moment, there's that drop again. Akanji at the moment is levels clear of Bisek. Again, there was nothing really wrong that he did today, Bisek. It's not there was any mistake from him. It was just, there's just little decisions, little moments from Bisek that are not fully convincing, like the silly yellow card that he got today. But yeah, he's definitely the backup for sure this season. Let me go back to some of your comments. Yeah, let's talk about another negative that Matthias bringing up, which is the empty seats. So I will go back to see what the attendance was to like the equivalent Slavia Praha game under Conte, or equivalent early Champions League games against teams. I want to see the Red Star Belgrade last year. What was the attendance for that? Because just in terms of numbers, but outside of the numbers, the lack of Curva Nord is really, really, you could only pretty much hear the Slavia Praha fans, I think, for most of the game. And that is concerning. That is concerning, guys, that you can hear Inter fans here and there, when we start doing our chants, and of course when we score. But for majority of the game, it's a library in there. It's really not a good atmosphere to be at the home game and to be, San Siro. Of course, with the San Siro news, the recent news, if you're keeping up, that Inter and Milan will be buying the San Siro stadium from the Milan Council. We'll discuss that in videos, perhaps in the coming days. To me, it's just a 1% progress, which is the reason why I haven't made a video on it yet. But yeah, the Curva Nord situation, it's not just with Inter. It's not like just Inter, but Curva Nord situation has got to do with the ticket pricing and the authorities banning certain people from the Curva Nord, and they're protesting against Inter and the authorities. So it's a complex situation. It's not just the case of Inter just needs to let the Curva Nord back into the stadium. It's a bit complex, more complex than that. There is Ian Kerr, who is always much more up to date with Curva news, the head honcho of Inter Club Belfast. He told me that there looks like there could be some opening now between Curva Nord and the authorities, and a way back into the stadium, etc. But yeah, the whatever it is, the ticket prices, the Curva Nord, there's the atmosphere at the stadium at the moment isn't great. And in the obviously, I think is in the bigger games it will be much better, sellout games, but still without Curva Nord, even the big games, we've seen them in Serie A, it's not been the same. It has not been the same. And yeah, this is the thing. So if I keep saying bloody Inzaghi, come on, get that Salmone out of your head. Similar to, so yeah, this time I do mean to say Inzaghi. Similar to Inzaghi, Chivu, if he doesn't have the vice Hakan, then he needs to have the plan B. So the plan B could be in changing formation. If you don't think anyone is able to be the CDM when Hakan isn't there, then you don't have to try to fit square pegs into round holes, as they say, right? Where you can change the formation. Then that's the time where you try to do 3-4-1-2, 3-4-2-1, whatever, or change formation completely, because we know that Chivu can also play. He's not someone that is married to the 3-5-2 as much as Inzaghi was. Some decision needs to be made this season on that position, because it can't be just Hakan, and then as soon as Hakan goes, then we're like panic stations. I hope Chivu has an idea of what he wants to do there. With Thuram's injury, I'm glad we have Pio and Boni and not Arna and Taremi. Yeah, definitely. Boni today actually didn't really like too much his impact into the game. There was, that nice roulette moment. But he needs to be like, when he comes into the game, he needs to be like how Pio is. Pio is like super hungry, running around, chasing like a madman. And his touches are always spot on. His dueling is spot on. Boni came on, lost one ball early on when he came on, just completely, didn't realize a man was coming in behind, stole the ball from him. Then he did the exact same thing 2 minutes later, where he was just thinking that he's got all the time in the world, and the guy came in behind him, boom, took the ball off him. Then afterwards he got a little bit better, but yeah, if Thuram is out, Boni is the guy. If it's in terms of characteristics of what Thuram adds to the team, Boni is the guy that's going to add what Thuram adds to this team, which is that pace, that hold-up play, the dribbling, being able to drift to the sides and create things from there. It's going to be Boni. So he needs to step up. He needs to see what Pio is doing in terms of that hunger, that drive to take a spot at least take a spot from Lautaro and Thuram, and try to take the opportunity. Sućić, great performance. So sad to see he couldn't score 100%. Sućić than Yashari. I mean, Yashari is completely injured at the moment, so we'll have to see about that. Those were safe changes to keep the game in control. Would Juve give the same control? No, 100%. Juve, Barella, of course, they wouldn't give you the same control, Eduardo. But we're talking about, is the same conversation, Eduardo, that we have every season. It starts from early on. The energy management doesn't start from week 21. It starts from week 3, week 4. It starts already, like, in terms of, with Thuram, you saw with the injury. I would have, I said, I would have, before the game, I would have rotated more than this. At half-time, we were 2-0 up at half-time already, right? Yeah, we were 2-0 up at half-time. So I would have already brought off one of Thuram and Lautaro already at half-time. So those are the little things there. But I know in terms of, but that's the issue, Eduardo. We didn't sign a midfielder. That was the issue with the Diouf signing when we signed him. Why did we sign another ball? Like, I like the profile and the ball carrying, but we know what we needed. Once we saw Asllani, we needed a more controlling midfielder, a guy that you can bring on to be the vice Hakan, ideally, or just in general, ball playing or more defensive-minded midfielder. That's the issue. On the bench, apart from Zilinski, all the Frattesi and Juve are not control guys. So you're going to bring on Barella every single time now. So you have to. It's like, so Barella can never rest. So yeah, and you're 3-0 up. How much control of the game do you really want? Yeah, Marcus. So maybe that's what I've heard, that Curva Nord might be coming back. So yeah, that is good news if it's true. Yeah, the San Siro news I'll try to cover in the next coming days. But honestly, guys, to me, it's just what the whole San Siro being bought out by Inter Milan is movement by 1%. 1%. That's the movement. With if this is the stadium, this news is this. Because there is so much, as Marotta said today, there is now so much to do. And if I know Italy, and I do know Italy, there's going to be still a lot more bureaucracy and red tape to work around. But it is positive news. And I will cover it in the next few days. Yeah, today we have a little bit of defensive solidity, M&M, but I don't think we've really seen that in Serie A. I'm not ready to say this for sure, that we finally have a little bit of defensive solidity, even without Hakan. We need to see that for sure first. We need to see that for sure before we start saying things like that, because at the start of the season has been far from solid defensively. We also have to remember that in this UCL format, goal difference is very important, so we couldn't just chill for 30 minutes. Yeah, I get all those things, Matteo, now, but you know, like deep down, bro, not even deep down, like there is really, really no need to bring on the likes of Akanji and Barella at this stage. But yeah, of course, that's Chivu. In his mind, he's being ruthless. He's being, making sure the result 100%. This is all true, but it's because we've seen this movie, Matteo, because we've seen the movie now, especially last season. We saw the horror movie that we saw by the end of the season. We saw it all unfold near the start. Whereas actually, Inzaghi last season, I think some of you guys had some issues with Inzaghi's management, but I was like, from the beginning, I was enjoying how Inzaghi was rotating heavily in Champions League. If anything, he could have even done even more, maybe. But we saw how this team just couldn't handle being in so many competitions by the end of the season, and that starts now. Those energy management starts now. Yeah, exactly, Mattia. I agree with you. And yeah, 100% Diouf is in the gulag. I think Chivu needs to learn rotation the hard way. Yeah, maybe, seeing today the Thuram injury, that might give him a little bit of a wake-up call. And yeah, the prices thing is also like, I see a lot of people from North America say like, oh, why are Italians complaining? Have you seen the prices of watching games here in the US? But that has no correlation to prices in Italy to prices in the US. Everything in the US is way more expensive than in Italy. For Italians, for people that have been going to the stadium, for season ticket holders, prices rising every single year. And, as Mattia says, 100% increase in 2 years. That's, you're being priced out. You're being priced out, basically. And if you don't make a stand, or if you don't have a, what do you call it, like a monetary or an economic kind of stance, take a stand against it, no change is going to be made. No change is going to be made. Yeah, that's why I just mentioned Eminem. That I'm going to make a separate video about this. I'm going to probably make it 2-in-1. The financial results of Inter, which I'm sure you're happy about, plus finally finishing in profit, like everyone has been predicting, and the stadium news. I'll probably make that 2-in-1. But yeah, let's keep a lookout in the next few days for the news on Marcus Thuram's injury. Hopefully nothing serious, but if it is, I think especially against Cremonese, I'm confident with Boni and Pio coming in. As we said, this season we are happy with what we've got in terms of backup for sure. Anything else to discuss before I go? Who was the man of the match, guys? Give me your man of the match. I saw some people. Let me go up to what Franco said. I think Franco, I saw him putting it early on that Lautaro was his man of the match. I missed it. But yeah, Franco, I did see your comment. Who was the man of the match? And yes, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Matteo, I like your shout. Hakan, no goals, no assists today, but if you watched the game, you saw he was very, very good. Man of the match, Slavia goalkeeper. Yeah, he literally, that 1-0 gift before, without that, I feel like could have been a bit more of a struggle today's game. Bobby Marley says Lautaro. Mattia says Acerbi. Definitely deserves a shout. Black and Blue Legacy says Lauti for MVP. To me, I would say I would give it to Thuram, to be honest. UEFA gave it to Thuram. Yeah, UEFA no ball. To be honest, without Thuram, we're not scoring, as I said, 2 of the 3 goals. One of the goals without Thuram's pace, getting to that ball, standing up the guy, doing the back heel, beautiful pass to Bastoni, it wouldn't happen. Then the other one as well, step over, cross into Dumfries. That goal doesn't happen without Thuram being there. And in general, I feel like his link-up play, hold-up play was a bit better than Lautaro's, who was a bit hit and miss today. Yeah, his passing wasn't particularly great, apparently, but yeah. But Lautaro, like it just in terms of what he transmits with his absolute grinta that he offers onto the pitch, it's like it almost feels bad not to give it to Lautaro when he plays, when he leads by example like that. Dimarco played well, yeah, nothing special, no defensive lapses for sure today. Look at that, he still had tried to have 4 shots on goal, good passing. Yeah, decent game from Dimash. Yeah, Bastoni is also a good shout. Yeah, I think there's lots of good shouts today, to be honest. It's one of those games where no one played badly, and then a lot of people played very well. Um, Gab, I think you've missed the conversation if you've just come in, and we've been criticizing Chivu actually a little bit for his rotation. Not in the starting lineup, as I said. I agreed with the starting lineup was pretty good, but the substitutions actually. Where's actually, Gab? You as the Frattesi super fanboy, where's the moans about Frattesi usage this year? I don't see you with Inzaghi. You were full on moaning about the Frattesi usage. Where's the moans now? I want to see the same moans. Yeah, Zoma continues to be really, really good on the ball compared to Jose Martinez, which is, not surprising now because we've been watching it, but just like in terms of logically, in theory, he's supposed to be the more traditional goalkeeper, but Zoma continues to be really, really impressive on the ball. I would give it to Dimarco for quitting smoking, being able to sprint again. Well, I don't know if he quit smoking, Kirby, but yeah, being able to sprint again for sure. There was one moment where I think he won the ball back, then gave it to Thuram, and sprinted 30, 40 yards into space, was completely free. Thuram should have just like passed it to him. Thuram just decided to ignore him, went inside rather than outside. And yeah, so Dimarco just, swearing at Thuram, quite rightly. Thuram should have passed it to him. But you're seeing these little things with Dimarco that he is looking very, very fit, like he was at the beginning of last season. Yeah, 100%. Nick Snow. I think it's a game worth rewatching. It was very impressive in terms of the way that Inter pressed and harassed Slavia Praha. 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. We'll see. For that, Fabio Capello actually gave Dimarco a little stick on the head, a little beating today. And on Sky Calcio, he said Dimarco's comments were not needed. Why would you call out your former manager like that? But yeah, no, we'll have to see later on in the season because, like I tweeted, like I showed you guys in my preview, Dimarco's comments were inaccurate for now because in terms of Inzaghi's management of Dimarco last season was the exact same. He had 3 back-to-back full 90s under Inzaghi at the beginning of last season. Afterwards is when, after October, from like October onwards is when Inzaghi started to do his usual 65th, 70th minute sub of Dimarco. So we'll see later on in the season how that looks. Because at the moment the usage is the exact same pretty much as Inzaghi. No one, but that's the thing, Black Blue Legacy, there is no striker in the world, and I can say this confidently, maybe Osimhen, but apart from Osimhen, there is no striker in the world that can press as well as Lautaro. There is no argument there. Whether you can call him fat, overweight, injured, coming back from South America duty, there is no striker in the world that presses as hard and as well as Lautaro does. So there he's always going to lose Thuram in that sense. Yeah, not just for Frattesi. Yeah, we've got so many midfielders this season. So yeah, Frattesi fans and Juve fans, you're just going to have to suffer this season. But yeah, I'll give it to Lautaro because I feel like Lautaro has got more votes in the chat. So we'll give it to Lautaro for MVP. But yeah, many players today could have been MVPs. So yeah, next up we have Cremonese on Saturday, I believe. Saturday at 5 p.m. Yeah, so definitely look out for my preview on Friday. And then I'll make the video on the San Siro and our financial results as well, probably tomorrow. So yeah, when's the international break? So it will be after the Cremonese. Yeah, so Cremonese, then we have the international break, and then it's Roma, Napoli, Fiorentina. Hard 3 fixtures in Champions League, and then in theory another easy one, even though Union Saint-Gilloise did win their first game. Milan Inter finally merging, still merged defensive dynamo, right? Still merged in the stadium things. Good to see you. Dimarco's right from October onwards. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We'll see. Afterwards, we'll see the Bobby Marley. But for now, the usage is the exact same. But afterwards, we'll see. I'm a person, like, once I see the facts and the truth, then we'll see. Then he was right. Until then, we'll have to see. And if he's the one huffing and puffing after the 50th minute, like he always does, and he gets subbed off, or he doesn't get subbed off, and we get punished because he's too tired at the 85th minute to chase back, then we'll be like, yeah, that's why Inzaghi used to sub you, bro. But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your support as always. Ciao ragazzi, always Forza Inter. Make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. 3-0, 2 for Lautaro, 1 for Denzel. Oh yeah, Denzel as well. Little shout out. We forgot to mention Denzel. Decent game from Denzel as well. Ciao ragazzi, always Forza Inter.